Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the fourth round of Series 5 of Porsche Club of America Sim Racing, live tonight from the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia. I am James Pike, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Taylor Ferris and our producer Ryan Bauer, as always. And TV, a roller coaster of a road course, but a staple of the PCA sim racing schedule. And in fairness, a staple of the PCA. This is a track that many drivers throughout the PCA are familiar with.
Most definitely, indeed. And this track is the home, pretty much the birthplace, I would say, of all things PCA sim racing. I mean, we have the Peach State region drivers. This is their home track. This is where they kicked everything off when it comes to Porsche, all things Porsche on the sim racing service. So a lot of things to look forward to tonight as we go to this amazing track that will provide a lot of difficulties, but yet a lot of exciting racing here tonight.
For those who are unaware, the seeds of PCA sim racing at the national level can be traced back to the Peach State region of the PCA, which calls this track home. The Peach State region had its own league before the National PCA League was formed. So lots of history on that front with regards to sim racing. A lot of Peach State drivers you're going to see this evening. We'll talk about a lot of them. They're one of the best represented regions in all of PCA sim racing. And this is also a track that we have visited in every PCA series, I believe. And also a special weekend this weekend, too, because not only is PCA sim racing at Road Atlanta, but PCA club racing is at Road Atlanta. The Peach State 225 Enduro and Sprint races will take place at the Real Life Road Atlanta this weekend, just in advance of Petit Le Mans at a circuit that celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2020. This facility opened in 1970, so a happy 50th birthday to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And to learn a little bit more about Road Atlanta, we now turn to a few videos. So thanks to our friends at ACI Motorsports and the Series 4 PCA Sim Racing Pro Class champion Michael Polishek, we'll sit back, relax, and you all will get the chance to see how the real-life Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta compares to the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in iRacing. Take a look.
Hello everyone, this is Michael Polishek, and this is a quick hot lap of Road Atlanta in the Porsche Cayman GT4. So we're now on the front straight right now, getting ready to brake for turn 1. So we trail brake all the way to the apex, then we get hard on the power, using the throttle to help steer the back end around the corner, getting ready for turn 2. We throw the car in with plenty of speed, then we throw the car over to the right, smashing the right-hand curve to cut the corner as much as possible to get ready for the S's. We're modulating our throttle here to keep the back end sliding and to keep grip on those front tires. to get ready for the corner coming out of the S's. We barely just brush the curb on the left, then we take all the exit runoff that we can to keep as much speed as possible to get down the short straight as fast as possible. Then we're throwing the car into this banked 90-degree corner, trail brake on the apex, and then get hard on the power. Once again, same thing through here, and we're getting hard on the power as early as possible. We're wheel spin limited through there, so we got to be really careful with how much steering lock we're giving it and how much throttle we're giving it. So we're heading down this back straight right now, and your exit from that 90-degree corner is going to be really crucial because it's either going to make or break an overtaking move, and plenty of moves are going to be seen heading into the chicane. So we brake before the 100-meter board, throw the car in with plenty of speed, trail brake to the apex, then we're giving it plenty of power, make sure not to take too much of that inside curve of the second part of the chicane, and now are flat out, minimum steering lock through this final corner. Cross your fingers that the car won't drift wide, and you are across the line. And that is a lap of Road Atlanta in the Porsche Cayman GT4.
Thanks to our friends at ACI Motorsports and Michael Polasek for their help in teaching us how to get around Road Atlanta. And a very cool opportunity that very rarely do you get this kind of crossover where you see so much action at a circuit, both in real life and in sim on the same weekend. So a perfect place to blend it over. Some of our club racers who might be watching tonight may have picked up a few tips, and some of the folks who are trying to find some more speed in their virtual Porsche Cayman GT4s might have picked up a few things from Michael Polasek. As always, it's the PCA Challenge class that starts off our evening's proceedings, presented, of course, by Haggerty. Let's drive together. And a fun points battle that I think we are beginning to build. After 3 races, Ian Simon has 2 victories and is your points leader. Now, the man in second, Ken Tubman, has the other victory. And I think the big question coming into tonight, Taylor Burris, I have to ask, is the one man who has had the speed to win but has not been able to put a full race together, Matt Dialosa out of the Rocky Mountain region. He was in control at Barber Motorsports Park and ended up in trouble through none of his own doing. Ran into a lap car on the entry into turn 1, but it was bad luck again for Dialosa, and you figure at some point he is going to feature at the top of the podium.
We hope so one day this season that we will see Matt Dialosa from the Rocky Mountain region at the top step of the podium, but it's going to be interesting. But he's got to put a clean race together from start to finish. He cannot have a single mistake from here on out for the rest of the season. Otherwise, he will not have a shot at winning the PCA Challenge Championship. Now, drivers such as Ian Simmons and Ken Tubman, both those 2 drivers also need to make sure that they try to keep up with their consistency. Simon has a little bit of an advantage, about a little over less than 20 points separates the 2 drivers right now who are actually tied for second with Tubman and Dialosa. And then don't forget, Chris Sidorowski sitting in the 4th position from the San Diego region. He's sitting in a pretty good position right now to where if any one of those 3 other drivers in front of him have a bad race anytime during the season, he is there to capitalize on it.
Indeed, might be able to capitalize on it. I'll also keep my eye on David Purdy, currently qualified 22nd, but I have to imagine at some point, with as active as the Peach State region is in PCA sim racing, that somebody from the Peach State region is going to take advantage of the real-life experience that they have at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta and turn it into a season's best performance. David Purdy is the first candidate up on the board tonight. One of the members of the Peach State region competing this evening, and I have a hunch we're going to see him climb through the field, if for no other reason, because there is an advantage, as we saw with Teddy Framheim in the pro class, Laguna Seca a few weeks ago, to knowing a racetrack in real life and being able to take those skills and transfer them into the sim to get a few more tenths off your lap time and ultimately be quicker than your competitors.
That's going to be a very big help. Currently sitting P22 right now in the qualifying. He is looking, though, to be about 4 seconds off the pace. So he's going to have a little bit of work to do to try to see if he can get a nice, strong finish by the time we end this race after 30 minutes of hard racing. But I'm pretty sure he will definitely give his Peach State region's driver a good show for them to cheer him on here in the PCA Challenge class.
Be the first representative of many this evening. You will have plenty spotted throughout our sport club and pro broadcast a little bit later on this evening. But as it stands, Matt Dialosa, the fastest man in qualifying, with just a few seconds left before we hit the grid, looks like Dialosa is going to claim pole for our first race of the evening, the challenge class, presented by Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. Matt Dialosa indeed is your pole sitter. Sets a 1 minute and 26.587 second lap time to take top spot over Ian Simon. Chris Sibarowski will begin this evening for the third spot. Fourth is where you'll find John Cook. Justin Moreno begins tonight from P5. P6 is where you'll find Ed Eisenring. Daniel Rubel rolls off from 7th. 8th will be Robert Rose. Ken Tubman, who won at Motorsport 2 weeks ago, starts in 9th alongside Scott Ferris, who begins this evening from 10th.
Trip Starkey will be starting from the 11th position, followed by J.R. Gregory in 12th. Jason Sherwood will be starting from the 13th position, with Chris Pippen in 14th. Robert Benson will be starting in the 15th position, followed by David Trinder in 16th. 17th will be started by Aaron Ambrosino, followed by Jose Rivas in 18th. 19th will be Michael Bergone, and rounding out your top 20, Scott McSherry.
Starting 21st this evening will be Ken Nielsen. David Purdy, the Peach Stater, rolls off from 22nd. 23rd is where you'll find Anchor Birdsong and Mark Granoff against the night from 24th. 25th is where you'll find Abraham Jones. John Bradley rolls off from 26th. 27th will be Adam Fox. Olin Murphy rolls off from 28th. 29th and 30th are newcomer John Arcella and Kim Frick. To take a moment to turn to the track facts here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. This, of course, is the 50-year-old circuit, about 30 miles northeast of Midtown Atlanta, state capital of Georgia, and the largest city in the southeastern United States. We run the full course today at Road Atlanta. It's a 2.54 mile, 4.088 kilometer circuit with 12 turns. We race in Sunrise. We're a little bit later, though, than we have been in past weeks. We've been starting at 7 a.m. in sim local time the last few weeks. Tonight, we'll start at right around 8 a.m. local time in sim on the default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2020. Air temp is 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 67 degrees Fahrenheit is your track temp. Both of those, you figure, will come up as we progress through the evening and or the morning, depending on how you look at it. Winds are headed to the northwest at 5 miles an hour, and humidity sits at 69%. So not necessarily the dense fog that we had up in Canada a few weeks ago, but bright Georgia sunshine to greet us here for our first race for this evening. We'll also take a moment to remind you all that the Challenge Clash of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by Haggerty. Since 1984, Haggerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Haggerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Haggerty, the shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Haggerty, let's drive together. All eyes on Matt Dialosa as we also remind you all that tonight's setups are in part brought to you by the Virtual Racing School. Now, these drivers have the option of running VRS setups in all 4 of our races, and for more information about them, you can visit them at www.virtualracingschool.com. Find out more information on how you can ultimately become a faster sim racer. Taylor Ferris, Dialosa, Simon, Sibarowski, 3 names that we've seen near the top of the board in every PCA Challenge Class race in Series 5 today. What do you expect out of this group tonight?
Well, probably expecting the same thing we've been seeing these past few weeks. We'll probably see Matt Dialosa take off early on in the race, but can he put that final half of the race together? Can he be able to keep it clean, keep it out of trouble, and make sure he keeps it on the pavement? Or will drivers such as Ian Simmons be able to take away another victory and continue to expand his points lead? We can't forget Ken Tubman, though. He's a little further back, but he will make his way up to the field like we normally see him do. And then, of course, Sibarowski, who's pretty much been inside the top 5 most of the season. Could he possibly be the spoiler and take the win away from Dialosa or Simmons? We will find out here after about 30 minutes or 21 laps as they are coming out of the turns 10 and underneath the Suzuki Bridge for the first time under pace speed.
30 minutes of racing for this challenge class. Green flag is out, and Matt Dialosa leads just under the bridge and across the start-finish line, and immediately has to block Ian Simon, who got a great start, and will jump to the inside of Dialosa and take over the lead before we even get into turn one, and Dialosa spins in turn one, and he'll collect a few more cars with him. I see a few drivers sliding sideways, trying to see who that was initially.
That's Sibarowski.
It was Sibarowski who went around, so Dialosa doesn't even make it a corner before trouble breaks out, and again, snake bitten is the number 90 car.
Unfortunate indeed for Matt Dialosa, and with him dropping out like this is going to cost major points, especially with how much damage is to the number of Matt Dialosa. That Porsche, it is tore up in the rear end. He's going to have to come down pit road and get that repaired.
Ken Tubman was also swept up in that, as was Robert Rose, as was Daniel Rubel. So big-time names caught up in incidents early on in the first race of the evening at Road Atlanta. And all of a sudden, this becomes a huge race for Ian Simon, and for no other reason to maintain, because he stands to gain a tremendous amount of points on all of his competition, because Tubman and Dialosa and Sibarowski were caught up in that turn one incident. And the nearest man in points to Simon that made it through that is Scott Ferris, who is down in 10th. Not a bad run for Ferris, but Simon really could stretch out his points lead if he can maintain this throughout the course of the evening.
He is going to do a great job as they come out of the final corner to complete lap number 1 here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Simon will take over the race lead. John Crook, though, has a great start right now. He's starting in second right now with that after avoiding the incident. And then one of the Haggerty drivers, Justin Marino, now he moves up into P3 as they're now going down the S's once again, and everybody's trying to keep a single file, get into a rhythm, and trying to just bring it home in one piece.
Team Haggerty with Justin Moreno looking for their first podium in the challenge class in Series 5. And Moreno in great shape, because it's actually a really solid battle between these front three. Simon and Crook and Moreno have not stretched themselves out all that much. And I'll be curious to see if Crook can gain on Simon and potentially make this a battle for the race lead. It was tight between those two in the opening lap. Simon was faster, but Crook has gained a significant amount through the S's over in the initial sector of the track, and I wonder what lap times will be for him, for Simon, for Moreno and company when they come across the stripe. And then you have to stretch it out just a little bit. Moreno's a little bit further back, and then you have to go a ways back to Ed Eisenring, and you have a strung out group from about 4th on back. Eisenring's there, Trip Starkey, Scott Ferris, who we mentioned, is up to 6th now, so he's gained a few spots on his competition. Sherwood is in the mix too, J.R. Gregory, but they really did string out pretty quickly after the incident.
Yeah, that incident caused a lot of drivers to check up, get out of the way to avoid not being collected up in that wreck. And this is what happens. It's caused a lot of people to get strung out, and we have a couple of everybody's just running single file, not putting pressure on a whole lot of people. If you go a little bit further back towards back out of the field outside the top 10, you'll see some battles, but really the closest battle inside the top 10 is the battle for the race lead between Simmons, Croak, and Justin Marino.
How interesting is this? Ian Simon was 2/10 slower than both John Crook and Justin Marino that last time by. So second and third are already gaining on P1. As I suspected, Crook looked a little bit faster. The times confirmed that he was definitely a little bit faster. So Simon might not necessarily be able to waltz away with this. Seems like he's going to have stiff competition from not one, but two drivers to try and hang on to this lead for the next 25 minutes or so.
He's going to have a little bit of difficulty, especially with no cars in front of him. This long back straightaway here is very vital for drivers such as John Croak and Justin Marino to help utilize the slipstream to help them build that momentum up, to carry them down those back straightaway, and possibly, if they can get close enough, get to the inside of Ian Simmons. But it's going to be a tall order for some of them. They got to get to the inside, though, before they get into turn 10.
Rolling over the bridge, or under the bridge rather, and snaking their way down this very, very terrifying and tricky final corner at Road Atlanta. I don't think you realize that, especially in a car that's heavily reliant on mechanical grip like these Caymans are. You are absolutely on the edge coming out of turn 12, and if you miss your exit of 12 and catch the grass in any way, shape, or form, immediately you end up in trouble down the front straightaway, and your day is almost certainly done there.
Yeah, I mean, last week when we went to Alabama to Barber Motorsports Park, you thought that was a roller coaster. This is Georgia's version of a roller coaster times 10. I mean, this track is full of different undulations, a lot of ups, downs, lefts, right. I mean, you are absolutely having to be absolutely careful through some of these sections, especially the S's and into turn 1. Turn 1 could probably be a very detrimental corner, as we just saw with Dialosa, of how easily it could get loose, especially when you're going off corner exit. You have to be careful. And looking out as they are coming out of turn number 8, I see a couple of tire marks going off track and into the tire or into the barriers. So even turn 8 is having some difficulties for some drivers.
Simon and Crook together again. Simon was faster by 2/100ths of a second, but those two have started to gap Justin Moreno, who sits in third at the moment. So it is a proper duel for the race lead, and you really do have to stretch it back a good ways, all the way back to about 9th, 10th, 11th. You've got Jose Rivas, David Trinder, Scott McSherry together. That's your next best battle on track after the race lead at the back half of the top 10.
It's a great battle right there between Trinder and Scott McSherry right now, as McSherry is closing into the back bumper of David Trinder as they go underneath the Suzuki Bridge once again, and they're still keeping up with also Jose Rivas as well as they come out of the final corner.
Trinder, part of the Metropolitan New York region of the PCA. McSherry, part of the Eastern Buckeye region of the PCA. Rivas, part of the Riesling Toro region of the PCA, which covers the greater Philadelphia region. And if you want a little bit of geographic help, just in case, when we talk Eastern Buckeye region, we're talking Youngstown, Ohio. Maybe the Youngstown State Penguins might ring a bell for those who have any interest in collegiate athletics, but that part of the Buckeye State is where we are looking to try and find Scott McSherry, who currently sits in 11th, riding behind David Trinder. You have a look at his number 20 machine, that sort of brown, almost brown mauve mix, a little bit of green to it, but in either case, trying to run down the properly green David Trinder machine.
We go a little bit further back to one of our drivers who was involved in that opening lap incident, Chris Sibarowski. He has caught up to Chris Pippin right now as they come out of turn number 8 and head down the long back straightaway. Pippin is trying to stay ahead of him as they go down the straightaway, but it's going to be difficult for him to hold off Sibarowski. As you see the slipstream come into play, Sibarowski is going to take a peek to the outside, but needs to try to get filed right behind him and see if he can make the pass once they get into turn number 10. Let's see what he does as they go down the hill, setting up for turn 10. He then hits the brake, couldn't quite get to the inside just yet. You'll have to wait and see. Coming out of turn 10A, now through turn 10B, up the hill underneath the Suzuki Bridge, and he is not able to make it work this time around, but Sibarowski is trying to find a way to recover after his early lap 1 incident.
Trouble for Ed Eisenring over in turn 1. He slides down the order as we can't confirm that Scott McSherry was able to get around David Trinder. So McSherry now up to 9th, Trinder back to 10th, and Pippin still trying to find a way to catch up to Ken Nielsen, who is now right behind Ed Eisenring's wounded Porsche Cayman. He went off over in turn 1, and a decent amount of front end damage on the 929. So we'll see. He's spinning off again, and a big hit there for Eisenring. So that probably is night done for the 929.
Yeah, that Porsche is definitely tore to pieces right now, so he'll have to definitely end his night here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So a tough break for Ed Eisenring.
Eisenring falling down the orders. Simon continues to lead, and Sibarowski nearly rear-ended Chris Pippin. And coming out of the exit of turn 7, that's that very tight right-hander at the back end of the circuit that precedes the long straightaway that leads down into the chicane at 10A and 10B that you see these cars traveling to right now. Meanwhile, you haven't missed anything between Simon and Crook yet. They are still nose to tail. They've stretched out their lead over Justin Moreno to almost 3 seconds. So these two in their own zip code as everybody else tries to give chase.
Go a little bit further back around that 11th position to watch that battle between Ken Nielsen, Chris Pippen, and Chris Sibarowski, as those three are pretty much lined up nose to tail. They're heading into turn number 1 right now. Pippen will look to the inside of Ken Nielsen and almost gets his door completely nose cut off right there as Nielsen try to shut the door on him as they come out of turn number 1, now climbing up the hill through turns 2 and 3 before heading down the S's. This gives a good opportunity for Sibarowski as he gets a great run out of turn number 3 as they head down the hill through the S's before they make that hard climb up through turn number 4. And this corner right here, James, is very easy to lose control. I've seen multiple different cars lose it as we see Sibarowski do the same thing. Just speaking of it, commentators curse as he easily is able to get back on the track after a nice save. So a great job for Sibarowski. But that corner with that, when you go over that curbing, it's very easy to get that car too light and lose control of that race car. You have to make sure you take it easy on corner exit through that corner.
It's terrifyingly close for Sibarowski, who bounced around. It seems like every car in iRacing and in real life, doesn't necessarily matter what kind it is. When you go over the curves, exiting the S's and working your way down the straightaway, out of turn 5 in particular, seems like there's almost a residual bounce where it takes a few sort of shots to get the thing to actually settle and plant on the straightaway. I don't think it's as pronounced with the Cayman as it is with some of the other cars at iRacing, but you definitely still notice it, and if you hit it wrong, it can absolutely throw you sideways like what we just saw with Sibarowski a few moments ago. We'll take the moment to remind you all that tonight's coverage of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by the Virtual Racing School. And all the drivers in tonight's races have the option of running a virtual racing school setup. If you want to find out more information, you can slide over to www.virtualracingschool.com and learn how you can become the fastest driver in iRacing. Simon and Crook on their own. Moreno, Starkey, Sherwood just sort of hanging, although Ferris is beginning to put the pressure on Jason Sherwood for that 5th spot. That's the next best battle outside of the race lead heading down the pylon. And then you've got the good group of McSherry, who has started to gap a few folks, and Jose Rivas has managed to get around David Trinder too. So Trinder now back to 10th, McSherry up to 8th, and Pippen leading the group of Sibarowski and Nielsen that you were just talking about, TB.
Yeah, Sibarowski was able to get around Ken Nielsen right there and was able to move up into the 12th position. And now we'll set a sight on Chris Pippen. Meanwhile, we noticed that battle for that 8th, 9th, and 10th position of McSherry, Rivas, and Trinder. Those three have not been able to separate themselves at all from each other as they go underneath the Suzuki Bridge through turn 11. And coming out of the final corner right now, the cars will start finish line. There you see Rivas goes into the grass, is able to recover. That's the second time I've seen another driver off corner, the final corner, get into the grass and almost lose control of the race car. So a great job for Rivas to able to hold on to his race car as they climb the hill once again to turns 2 and 3. And I got to say, Trinder is going to be one to watch. He's been running consistent times, but not fast enough, though, to keep up with Rivas.
That Rivas steal was exactly what we were talking about earlier in this race, where if you screw up the exit out of turn 12 and manage to catch any form of curb entering the front straightaway here at Road Atlanta, it can get you sideways, and if you get on that grass immediately, that is 2 to 3 tenths minimum that you are going to lose to just get yourself back sorted. And it shows in the gap that McSherry's been able to open up on Rivas and Trinder as Rivas ends up in trouble again over in turn 6, which is not normally a place that you would see an issue, but just trying to put too much gas into it and spun himself down into the fence. So Rivas slides back a spot, slides back 2 spots now as Chris Pippen clears the 28 machine. Sibarowski has just gotten around Rivas. Nielsen may well have a shot at getting Rivas before we get down to the chicane in turn 10.
He is coming with a head of steam on Jose Rivas with that damage to the nose and also the side of that Porsche Cayman. Now he is going to be easily overpowered by Ken Nielsen, but he's going to see Nielsen's going to back off just a little bit, not try to overshoot the corner, get through turns 10A and 10B, and then try to go on the attack as they come out of the final corner by the looks of it.
Slide away and around and up. You see a few more drivers charging their way up the hill, and towards turn 5, and now you keep an eye on Ken Nielsen. Wants to see what the 18 machine does with that outwounded machine of Jose Rivas, and see if Rivas can hang on in the very flying lizard-esque colors. It's not quite a lizard that's on the hood of that Porsche Cayman, but you see that sort of silver and that sort of red, you know immediately who you're talking about when you talk sports car racing, Taylor.
Probably one of the most famous teams to run with Porsche, the Flying Lizard Motorsports team. A great group of people over there, and it's amazing to see. They're still involved in racing here and there occasionally, but still doesn't beat when they had those Porsches back in the days of the LMS.
Tons of fun to see them race too. So we'll bounce around a little bit further, look for a few more battles to keep an eye on. This is Scott Ferris that you see on your screens, and he currently is trying to charge down Jason Sherwood. These two have been about a half a second separated from one another for just about all of this race. Maybe not the entirety of the 15 minutes we've run so far, but they've definitely been into it. And as we clear the halfway point, it is indeed time to bring you tonight's Midway race break, which is brought to you by Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. Ian Simon is your race leader, having completed 10 of an estimated 21 laps that we are going to see this evening. Simon in the 87, currently in P1, ahead of the 61 machine of John Crook, who has lost some time over the last few laps. It's now a 1.5 second gap between the 87 and the 61. Justin Moreno rolls on in the third spot for Team Haggerty. The blue and white and black showing well tonight at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Fourth place belongs to the number 23 machine. That car belongs to Trip Starkey out of the Rocky Mountain region of the PCA. Fifth on the board is Jason Sherwood in the 99 car, the Diablo region, the East Bay of California, Oakland and Vallejo, amongst some of the places you can find there. Scott Ferris runs in 6th. He's been trying to run down his Pacific Coast teammate, at least region mate, I suppose, if we're playing that sort of game. 7th place at the moment belongs to Scott McSherry out of the Eastern Buckeye region that we spoke of earlier. And 8th belongs to David Trinder in the 103 car, one of the many Metropolitan New York region drivers hailing from the New York City area involved in PCA sim racing. 9th is the 218 car, and that belongs to J.R. Gregory. He, too, part of the Oregon region that is well represented in this challenge class. And P10 belongs to the 42 machine of Chris Pippin, who hails from Kansas City and appropriately has a car that's about as red as the Chiefs' uniforms.
As we go a little further back into the 11th position, we see the 775 of Chris Sibarowski, currently sitting 4th in the points from the San Diego region. He had a little bit of a tough incident on lap 1, but is able to recover nicely to get just outside the top 10. In the 12th position, you'll catch the 028 of Jose Rivas. He's working his way up to the field as he had a little bit of an incident a few laps ago, but is still making a nice recovery. Currently sitting in the 13th position, you'll find Ken Nielsen. He's working his way up to the field right now in that beautiful number 18 Porsche as he tries to hunt down Jose Rivas. In 14th, you'll see the 172 of Mark Granop from the Lone Star region. He's currently sitting 18th in points, but sitting 14th on the grid. And 15th is the 21 of Kim Frick from the Niagara region. Currently doing a great job running in that number 21 in 15th. Aaron Ambrosino is sitting in 16th in that number 13. He comes from the Hudson Champlain region, currently sitting 12th in points. And then, of course, the hometown hero, the 17th in the PCA Challenge class, David Purdy from the Peach State region in that 010 car. In 18th, you'll find Anker Bergson in the 248 Porsche. He's currently running in there and running a strong race as he is sitting in 16th in points from the Northeast region. And then in 19th position, you'll find also Olin Murphy in the 999 car. Rounding out your top 20 will be Michael Bergonier.
Michael Bergonier up to 19th as Purdy ends up in trouble and will slide down the order. Ken Tubman currently is scored in the 21st position. He got involved in that wreck on lap 1, but out of the Lone Star region in Zone 5, which currently leads the zone standings across all classes in PCA sim racing, incidentally enough. 22nd belongs to the 577, another Metropolitan New Yorker. This is Adam Fox running in the yellow machine with the bright green wheels. 22nd is where we normally would find J.R. Gregory in the 218 machine. We'll keep an eye and see what Gregory ends up doing. But Daniel Rubel runs in 23rd. Another one of the Keystoners out of the Tunnel region, which covers most of the greater Philadelphia area. 24th belongs to John Bradley out of the Ohio Valley region of the PCA. 25th is where you'll find Ed Eisenring, who carries on out of the Pacific Northwest region, covering Washington State and the Seattle area, surrounding Elliott Bay. 26th is Robert Benson in the 71 machine, the Rensport region that covers most of the province of Quebec. And then Abraham Jones riding in 27th out of the Allegheny region. That's Pittsburgh, for those unacquainted with your PCA geography. Robert Rose, Matt Dialosa, and John Arshilla have pulled it behind the wall and are done for the evening. And that concludes tonight's Haggerty Midway Race Report. Haggerty, let's drive together. We'll also take a moment to remind you all that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the Z1 Analyzer. The Z1 Analyzer application is aimed at improving the most important part of the car, you, the driver. The Z1 Analyzer gives you easy-to-understand explanations on where you are losing and gaining time and advice on how you can improve your driving. With its many analysis screens, including the lap overview, driving line, brake analysis, turn analysis, and track log, you'll be able to quickly find out where you can improve and gain seconds in consistency. Included with the Z1 software, the Z1 Analyzer allows you to examine your lags and is an essential tool to becoming a faster driver that gets into victory lane more often. To find out more about the Z1 Analyzer and Z1 Dashboard, please visit www.z1dashboard.com. Ian Simon still your leader. It's now at the 3.3 seconds, so he has separated himself from John Crook as this race is carried on. Good battle, though, between David Trinder and I think that's Jason Sherwood, who puts the side panel to that number 103 machine, and Sherwood now climbing up into the 9th spot, Taylor.
He is, and we just saw that pass coming out of turn number 8, and Sherwood has just taken off like a rocket away from David Trinder in that 103 Porsche as they go down the back straightaway into turn number 9 before they set up for turn number 10A and 10B. As they hit the braking zone, you see Trinder late into the braking zone trying to see if he can gain a little extra ground on Jason Sherwood as they come out of turn 10B. He clips the curb a little bit too much right there. He's going to lose some precious seconds as they come underneath the Suzuki Bridge and out of the final corner.
They carry off out of that final corner and underneath the Michelin Bridge that graces the front straightaway and continue to charge on through Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, keeping an eye across the board and across the field and trying to find out where we might be able to pull a few new stories out and see if we've got a few new faces that we can pull on the broadcast and introduce to all of you watching at home.
Well, to give an update for our Peach State fans, it is going to be David Purdy. He has dropped back to 19th after his incident. He's currently sitting one lap down, so a tough night for that number 010 Porsche as he is trying to see if he can catch up to Ken Tubman, who's also having a tough night, currently sitting 18th, so not a good points night for him as well. And for Dialosa, well, he is out of the race. He is not going to be able to finish this, so a terrible night for some of our championship contenders after tonight's race will be over.
We'll take a moment to highlight David Purdy. We've talked about him a lot already, but worth noting that our Peach Stater in this class hails from Jasper, Georgia, and has been involved with PCA sim racing for about 5 or 6 months at this stage. This is his first season in PCA competition, and he is very proud of the fact that he survived the first few races without any accidents. Loves the 959. That his favorite Porsche of all time, and thoroughly enjoys life in the North Georgia mountains near Stone Mountain with the lovely lady. So a lot of fun, I think, for David Purdy to try and tackle this track tonight, and we'll keep an eye on all the Peach Staters that compete in PCA sim racing competition this evening while they are on home turf.
Looking to the field right now, the closest battle that I can see out on the racetrack is that battle for 11th, and that's between Ken Nielsen in the number 18 and Jose Rivas in the 028. They're just now coming out of the second half of the S's, making the run up to turn number 5. And let's see if they got a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. That's going to be David Trinder, and I believe another lap car in front of Trinder. So we'll see how they're able to negotiate and keep the battling going strong between these two drivers as they come up to turn number 6 and 7. As you see the lap car go way off into the grass, almost comes out in front of our two drivers and almost clips the 028 of Jose Rivas, which is a close call for him, but he's able to continue on. There's another car off track. That's Scott Ferris in the 027.
Scott Ferris went off coming out of turn 7. He just got a little bit too happy with the gas and tried to gas it up too quickly coming out of the corner and caught the grass and looped himself around. And that sent him back from 5th all the way back to the 12th position. It took him a very long time to get that car pointed in the right direction and back onto the racetrack. So he is rolling, but not before he loses 7 spots on the racetrack. And now it's Scott McSherry who holds P5.
For some drivers tonight, this will be a great point night for them, and others will have a lot to have to work on next week. So we'll have to keep an eye and see how the point standings will shuffle out for these drivers. For a driver like Ian Simon, nothing to worry about. He's picking it up where he left off at Barber, and he's going to possibly, if he's able to survive and put another good run together, possibly take home another checkered flag.
Also a reminder with a few minutes to go in this race that, as always, the Z1 Analyzer is offering a software package to one PCA Sim Racing EDE student each and every Friday night. And tonight's lucky winner is Robert Connell for the Intermountain region in the club class of PCA Sim Racing. PCA Sim Racing's EDE program provides entry-level all the way up to advanced sim racing coaching. And if you sign up for the EDE program at PCASimRacing.com/EDE, you might be the next winner of the C1 Analyzer software package. So congratulations to Robert on being tonight's lucky winner. Ian Simon, your race leader. It's 1.5 seconds, so it's down a little bit, but still, Crook's going to have to put together 3 or 4 laps of his life here. Only a handful of laps left in this challenge class race before we carry on to our second race of the evening, working our way inside of 4 minutes to go in this first race of the night at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough order for John Crook to catch up to Ian Simon right now. He's about 1.8 seconds back from Simon as they're coming out of this section of the course right now. As we see, they're coming down the back straightaway. No lap traffic in front of Ian Simon, so it's smooth sailing for him. He had to negotiate some lap traffic earlier, but is able to recover nicely and keep a good gap between him and John.
Going to be all about the gap that he can maintain. Best battle in the top 10 belongs to Scott McSherry and Chris Pippin. Those two fighting for 5th and 6th. And Pippin just missed the apex a little bit out of turn 7. So McSherry will have the ability to stretch out the gap between those two and just tighten the grip on P5 a little bit. Trinder and Nielsen also had a good battle for 8th and 9th, as are Mark Granoff and Kim Frick, as those two now will do battle with one another. And Granoff had a terrible run out of turn 5, so Frick will jump up into the 12th spot, which is, given that Frick started in P30, didn't even get the chance to put down a qualifying lap, really good run for that 21 car tonight.
A very good run in T for Kim Frick, and then not too far behind is Chris Sibarowski. He's right there on the back bumper of Mark Granoff as they go down the back straightaway here. All three lined up nose to tail. You see Sibarowski closing in on Mark Granoff. He'll look to the inside as they head to turn 10A and 10B. Granoff tries to put him in a difficult situation as they see everyone tries to check up contact between the two drivers of Frick and Granoff as Sibarowski has to back off to get around the spinning Kim Frick, and Aaron Ambrosino is also now getting into the mix of this picture.
Kim Frick just got used. That was a wild incident there. Granoff went to the inside to keep Sibarowski at bay. When he blocked Sibarowski, he just wasn't on the brakes enough to keep from running into the side of Frick, who goes sideways and loops it around, and Frick ends up being the loser out of that exchange. My hunch is that race control might have something to say about Granoff's dive there. We'll keep an eye and see if he gets any sort of penalty, and if he does, we'll make sure we pass that along to you at home before the race ends. But as it stands, Granoff up to 12th, Sibarowski 13th, and Frick back to 15th after running in 12th a few moments ago.
Let's keep an eye on this battle for a little bit longer to see what they can do as they come out of turn number 5. You see Sibarowski gets another good run off of turn 5. He's going to go side by side with Granoff. Granoff, though, has the preferred line, but Sibarowski will work the outside lane and make the pass complete as Aaron Ambrosino now gets into the picture. He's going to try to find a way around Mark Granoff.
Ambrosino continues to carry on. Granoff now hanging out. You can see lights up on Ambrosino's machine, trying to use the intimidation factor to potentially make the move on Granoff, who was busy trying to block Sibarowski last lap. And now here comes Ambrosino alongside and passed Mark Granoff down the straightaway. And I think this time Granoff isn't going to put up much of a fight, especially because we can confirm that he has been black flagged for dive bombing and getting into Kim Frick over in the chicane 1 lap ago. So Granoff will have to come in and serve the penalty before the end of the race, which all of a sudden is nearly upon us here. We may be looking at the final lap here now for Ian Simon, depending on when he gets back to the start finish line. 20 seconds for him to get around and complete one more lap, and I think we will, just by inches, have one more lap to complete at Road Atlanta. So it will be one more lap for Ian Simon to take home the victory in the PCA Challenge class presented by Haggerty.
And he has clear sailings for the most part from John Croak, who is about 3.2 seconds back. John is trying to see if he can find any way to catch up to him, but it's going to be difficult. Ian Simon, though, has a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, which could be a little bit interesting to see if he's able to negotiate them properly. But it seems like he is going to just run his race, run his line as they come out of the S's for the final time up to turn number 5. Ian Simon doing a great job. He'll look to the inside to the lap traffic and make those passes complete as they go down the short chute right here and see if he'll make the pass on the outside, which he will get by both lap cars as lap car gives way to our race leader.
The lap car there of Kim Frick will give way to Ian Simon, who now has clean track ahead of him. I don't think he's going to catch Olin Murphy up the road, who already is halfway down to the chicane. So this is all Simon just having one last big drag strip style run down the straight into the chicane, and all he has to do is make it through there to make it 3 wins in 4 races. An impressive first half of the season for the 87 car if he pulls this off.
A very impressive season. 3 out of 4 wins. He's going to be the one to watch this season. Ian Simon, as he comes out of turn 10 and turn 10A and 10B underneath the Suzuki bridge for the final time.
It is Ian Simon who will put a very, very, very big step forward towards winning the title in the PCA Challenge class presented by Haggerty. He wins the first race of the evening at Road Atlanta ahead of John Crook and Justin Moreno, who come home in 2nd and 3rd respectively. But Ian Simon, impressive start for the driver out of the Mardi Gras region.
A very impressive job here tonight. Will he continue this streak of good luck for him this season? We'll have to find out, but so far he's off on a great start.
A great start for Ian Simon as we keep an eye on some of the other battles here. Sherwood and Trinder and Ferris all coming around to complete their last laps. Everybody else pretty well spread out here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And it's a place where you really can separate yourself as one car out of fuel there at the very end, 2 cars out of fuel at the very end. And a nice little move across the line for Trinder to eventually get into drift starting ever so slightly, but few drivers losing spots right there at the very end of this race.
Looks like Chris Pippin's another one of those drivers who lost fuel. Let's see if there's anybody else who could be running out of fuel. I think Aaron Ambrosino is running out of fuel.
Ambrosino is coasting, but he should be good to get 13th, and then Martin Granoff would be the last car on the lead lap ahead of Kim Frick, who's about to complete his lap with Crook, who's already done and dusted. So Ambrosino's crossed the line. It gives us the opportunity to go through the full field rundown and tell you where your favorite driver finished in our first race of 4 this evening. Ian Simon, your race winner tonight at Road Atlanta in the challenge class presented by Haggerty. Alongside John Crook and Justin Moreno on the podium. Scott McSherry finished in 4th, and Jason Sherwood came home in the 5th position. Trip Starkey finished in 6th this evening. 7th went to David Trinder. Chris Pippin finished in 8th. 9th went to Scott Ferris, and the top 10 was rounded out by the 28 of Jose Rivas.
Chris Sibarowski, who started 3rd, will come home in the 11th position, followed by Ken Nielsen in 12th. 13th will go to Aaron Ambrosino, followed by Mark Granoff in 14th, the last car on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down will go to Kim Frick in the 21th, followed by Anker Bergson in 16th. Michael Bergonier will be coming home in 17th position, followed by David Purdy, the hometown hero in the PCA Challenge class. He'll come home 18th after starting 22nd. 19th will go to the 999 of Olin Murphy, and rounding out your top 20, Daniel Rubel.
Ken Tubman finished in 21st. 22nd went to Robert Benson this evening. Abraham Jones was 23rd tonight, and 24th to the 929 of Ed Eisenring. Adam Fox finished in 25th. 26th went to John Bradley. J.R. Gregory came home in 27th, and 28th was Robert Rhodes. Matt DeLosa finished in 29th and 30th. Final car in this field was the 16 of John Arcilla. We are now joined by our first three-time winner in PCA competition this evening, Ian Simon. Another victory at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, and it seemed like the long run was the most important thing here. You and John were even on pace throughout the first half of this race, but then the second half had started to stretch out. Where did you find the difference in lap times?
I think the difference just came when we came up on the lap traffic. John's my Q Cup teammate, so we were in chat on the side, and we knew that we just needed to save some fuel to be able to make it to the end. So we were really just trying to pace ourselves and keep a gap to Justin for him and make it to the end without making a stop.
We've already made the point of the broadcast, but we'll ask you about it now. 3 wins in 4 races. Your drop is the one race that you did not win. So in effect, a perfect score you've got on the board right now, and it almost becomes a game of rolling strikes if you can carry the momentum. But how big, especially when we start looking towards the championship fight, has it been for you to rack up these points this early and set yourself up in, I would say, pole position to win the title if you can carry on through the second half of the year the way you have in this first half of the season?
It's been awesome, unexpected, honestly, but it's still. Matt's really fast. I guess he had a little mishap in turn 1 there, but any weekend could be his. So just got to try to keep it up and finish it off.
I know there are plenty of people that make it happen for you this evening, Ian, so take a moment to send you thank yous, your shout outs, and let the folks know who makes it happen for you and that number 87 car.
My thank you this Friday is for my dad getting me into this crazy money trap that is racing.
Simple answer, straightforward answer, fair enough, all the same. But Ian, on behalf of everyone at the Porsche Club of America and Podium Esports, congratulations on your victory. We look forward to seeing you at Circuit of the Americas next Friday night.
Thanks guys.
There's Ian Simon, your race winner from our challenge class. And one more reminder that the challenge class of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you tonight by our friends at Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. We are at that time where it is time for you to slide down to the blue button on your bottom left if you're on YouTube. If you're elsewhere, stay where you are, because it is time for us to flip over to our second race of the evening. We'll get set for the PCA Sport class presented by Leland West in just a few moments. But while we get ready for our second race of the evening, you can enjoy a few photos of some of the action that's taking place at the real-life Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, where the Peach State 225 Enduro Sprint races are taking place all weekend long for the Peach State region of the Porsche Club of America and PCA Club Racing. Enjoy the sights of Road Atlanta. We'll be back with you in just a moment for our second race of the evening from PCA Sim Racing Series 5.